Welcome back to another episode of the OmniGeekCast, a family-friendly discussion of comics, games, movies, music, and other fandoms. But this is episode 5, and the only thing we'll be discussing today is everything Star Wars. And so in every aspect of the show, every segment will have something to do with Star Wars. The Last Jedi just came out on Blu-ray, and I got a chance to watch it. And we'll talk about this some more later, but I still don't like it, really. I mean, I enjoy the movie, but there's things here and there that I don't like. But like I said, we'll talk about that later. John and I are going to talk about everything to do with Star Wars as it pertains to our lives. In other words, we're going to look at growing up with Star Wars, and then our experience with the prequel trilogy. And now as we're approaching 40, finally getting the sequel trilogy. And I guess it looks like we're going to get Star Wars movies for the foreseeable future. What do you think?
I think this is not the podcast you're looking for. Okay, I just wanted to say that. Gosh, it's hot in that room. Let's fix that. All right, that's much better. Okay, good. Yeah, I think you're right. I think, and that's something that we're going to kind of talk about in the news a little bit too, is what some other thoughts are on the upcoming films and even some of the stars of the original trilogy. What at least one of them has vocally said here recently. So that should be fun.
Well, the first thing up is always doing the things. We talk about what we've been doing. And the things that we've been doing are vastly different as far as what we're going to talk about today. Now, both of them have something to do with Star Wars, but it's opposite ends of the spectrum, really, when it comes to the the activities themselves. Right. I put a video up the other day on our YouTube channel of the X-Wing VR mission, so I've been playing that some more.
Nice.
And I have also played through Star Wars Battlefront 2, the single-player campaign, and there's a review of that coming soon as well on the YouTube channel. But that's one of the things I've been doing, was especially this week, just trying to do some Star Wars things. This past week, like I said before, I watched The Last Jedi on the Blu-ray with the wife. And it was entertaining enough, but being a lifelong Star Wars fan, there's things I wish were different about it. Mm-hmm. But that's just normal everyday stuff, playing games, watching movies. But you had a peculiar experience that you've been doing or were doing. That's why you were out of town for the last podcast.
Right, yeah. I was out of town. I was on spring break. I was on a boat. A very large boat. It was a Disney cruise, and thankful to Keys to Dream Travel for that little name drop there. Good with that.
Nice of them to provide that for you.
Absolutely. But that's what I was doing. It was a lot of fun, and they had actually a Star Wars Day at Sea, and I need to post some stuff to our site about that. It was a week-long trip. And that Star Wars Day at Sea, it was an entire day filled with Star Wars activity, trivia games. They played throughout the week. They played the entire series, including Rogue One, and they played The Last Jedi several times in both of their theaters. But that day at sea, there was a BB-8 race, and I felt guilty almost. Not really, but maybe a little bit, because the lady that I raced, well, there was two people that I raced. One was a 10-year-old boy, and the other was a grandma. And they didn't realize that they were battling a geek. So it was a BB-8. It was a BB-8 race, and I won, and then I ended up running over the old lady with my BB-8, and it was a lot of fun. But that evening, there was a big party, and there were so many people dressed up. A lot of Kylo Rens, and there were some Reys, and they had a pretty big event, and I had a Obi-Wan costume, and it was nice. I'm trying to decide if I want to wear that to the Tupelo Con. I think I will.
If it's cool that day?
It's going to have to be, because just that robe in here, and I'm short sleeves, and it was hot, so we'll see how it goes. I may just go robeless. My only complaint about the trip itself would have been I wish that they had more options to watch the entire series of Star Wars films. Now, they played a lot of Disney movies. They had Wrinkle in Time. They played it several times. They had Thor Ragnarok and Black Panther. By the way, I finally finished Black Panther while I was on the boat.
And you weren't even expecting that. It was just a bonus.
Got
to finish the movie.
I was good with that, and it was good. I enjoyed it.
Since you mentioned Black Panther, I've wound up seeing it a third time with another one of our friends that we were just going to go out to eat with them, and then he texted me and said, hey, I haven't seen Black Panther. You want to go see it with me after the meal? So I said, well, you know what? Why not? It's good enough. I'll go see it again.
Let's do it.
But we got to stick to the plan, though. It's Star Wars Day today.
Right.
And that would have been cool to do the Star Wars Day at sea. And we're planning on doing a cruise one of these days pretty soon. But we'll have to get Keys to Dream Travel to set that up for us, help us out with that.
Aside from that, if I guess I could just simply mention that I've finished the Ready Player One novel. Looking forward to seeing the film, and we'll do a comparison of that later. And I've watched Punisher the whole season this past week, and it was good. But let's stick to Star Wars.
You keep saying stick to Star Wars.
I know, but then I bring up other things. I know it's my fault, but
no, that's okay.
Those are geek things and they're fun. And Punisher was good.
And honestly, there's a few other games that I was gonna play, looking forward to playing, and I kept telling myself like, no, just play the Star Wars stuff this week. If you're gonna make it a Star Wars week, I actually got a couple of new Star Wars games to add to my collection. And one of these is, of course, I don't have a way to play this. I don't have a 32X right now, but the Star Wars Arcade on 32X.
Oh, cool!
I got that. And I found these just in box, and then of course our old standby for the N64, Shadows of the Empire.
Sweet.
And I played that game to death when it came out. And I know it looks rough to go back and play the N64, any game on the N64 now. But if you'll play it, anybody listening, if you want to go back and play N64 or PlayStation 1, anything from that generation, if you'll just put it in and stick with it for about 30 minutes or so, it's almost like your eyes adjust to the older graphics, and it doesn't look as bad. You just try to forget about the new high definition 4K stuff. I played Battlefront 2 in 4K, and it's amazing. And it's hard to go from that to then back to Shadows of the Empire. But you have to kind of let your eyes adjust to it.